morning, everybody. My name is John, and I'm the driver here at Triple Inc. And today we're going to go over the importance about a pre-trip inspection. So the big importance about doing the pre-trip inspection is to make sure that you're safe out there on the road, to check everything before you leave. If there's a problem, call in, make sure that you get everything settled with your dispatcher before you take off, because if you take off without checking everything out, something happens, it could fall back on you. Okay, we're going to start now from the walk up to the truck. You're going to check your clearance lights. Turn on your lights from inside. Come out and check out your clearance lights. Make sure they're working on the top of the unit as well as the top of the cab. You want to look at your windshield, see if there's any visible cracks from out here as well as when you get inside the truck. You want to look at your mirror mounts, both sides, the fender mount. Make sure that they're on there, they look secured, and there's nothing cracked, loose, or broken and missing off of it. You want to check your lights and your signals to make sure that they're on, they're working properly. Check the grill. Some grills have slats in them, so you want to make sure that there's nothing missing on the grill. Look at your bumper, make sure it's straight. If it's bent, hanging. If there's any damage on the truck, you need to snap a picture of it before you take off, send it to your dispatcher. Let them know. Look up underneath. Make sure that there's no leaks or anything that you can visibly see before you get in there and start up the truck and pop the hood. Okay, from the driver's side of the truck, we're gonna check everything we can over here on the engine compartment. This truck here has the water tank on the driver's side. Some of them are on the right side, so it just depends on the truck, the manufacturer of the truck, the age of the truck. Some things are going to be different, more so to the right side than the left side. You want to check your antifreeze to make sure that your level's up. If it's cool, you can also check the cap down the side of it, but most of these tanks have sight glass. Some of them are plastic, so you can see the level of the fluid. You want to check all of your hoses around there. Make sure that they're on there, the clamps are on there that are holding the pieces together. There's nothing leaking. You want to follow your hoses down as far as you can see them, even back into the radiator, coming back out of the radiator. Look at your radiator itself to make sure you don't see any seam leaks or anything like that. You want to check your air compressor, check the hose when you're firing up the truck just to make sure that you're not getting any leaks out of it. Come down and check your power steering. Check the power steering also to make sure. Check your fluids. You were going to check all of your fluids, no matter what you do. Let's see, brake fluid. I'm sorry, not brake fluid. Fuel filter. Make sure that your fuel filter is on there tight and it's not leaking from anywhere. Also, steering box. You want to make sure that it's also not leaking from anywhere. Check your steering arm to make sure that there's no excessive play in it. Look down at your U-joints to make sure that they're also on there tight. There's nothing broke or cracked from your U-joints and it's got plenty of grease on it. Go into your suspension. You want to check the mounts to make sure that they're not cracked. The springs, make sure they're not cracked. There's no missing leaves or broken leaves. Check the U-joints or U-bolts in the center to make sure that they're also on there. They're tight. They're not cracked. There's nothing missing on it. Coming out to the brakes, top to bottom, it's the easiest way to do it. Check your hoses and your lines, make sure that they're not frayed, they're not leaking from anywhere. There's been no rubbing from the tire turning back and forth. Come down in here and check the chamber to make sure that it's also not leaking from anywhere. Down, check your slack adjusters. If you guys release the brakes and find something to chalk your wheel, or just put it in gear so it won't roll, you can pull on that rod, and as long as it doesn't move for more than an inch, you should be in proper brake setting. You also come down inside of the tire, look at your brake shoes and drums, make sure that there's no cracks or anything on the shoes or the drums. There has to be at least a 1/4 inch pad left on the brake. Check both sides of the tires, make sure there's no cuts or bubbles or anything that can cause a blowout. On the steer tire, to look for even wear. Can't be any less than 4/32 of tread on this tire. If there is, you need to call in, let somebody know, so they can call the right people and get self-adjusted. Normally around 100 pounds of pressure in the tire. Now there's also manufacturer spec on there, but most generally about 100 pounds of air in your tire. Check the rim to make sure there's no cracks, dents, welds that you can't weld on a rim. Look up to make sure they're tight. Check down here at your hub seal. check your cap to make sure that it's not leaking from anywhere. If you need to, you can hold the cap and look and make sure that you've got plenty of oil inside of that axle. Now we're at the door. I've already opened it up, but now you can go ahead. You're right here at your mirror, so you can check again to make sure that they're secured and they're not loose. Opening your door, make sure it opens and closes okay. Check your handrails to make sure that they're secured. 3-point entrance in and out of that truck. You have to climb into it, back out of it. Do not go face forward out of that truck. You guys slip and fall out of there. The last thing we want to do is get a phone call from somebody, there's a driver's laying out in the middle of this, the driveway or something, and he can't move. Okay. So we're going to get up in the truck now, and we're going to go over some things inside the cab. Okay, now before I start the truck up, a couple things that you guys do need to know. Here we have to take a picture of the VIN to make sure that we have the right truck, and then once we get it started and you can see that all your gauges are up and at the proper level, then you take a picture of your gauges so they can tell that you also checked out and done your inside pre-trip as well. So everybody should have a camera on their phone. The VIN of this truck it just so happens to be right down here. If there's not one on the side here somewhere, sometimes you can pop the hood and on the frame, on the top of the frame rail, there's a stamp in there that'll also have the VIN number. Different manufacturers just have them different places. Most of the newer trucks now that we run will have something here in the door well. So now we're going to get ready to fire up the truck. You also want to check your steps and battery box cover. Most trucks, they're two in the same. Some trucks, the batteries are different, but check your steps, check your battery box covers. You want to check the side of the box, or side of the vehicle rather, just to make sure that there's no damage to the side of it. Check your frame rail to make sure that there's no missing rivets or anything like that, because if there is, your cross members will probably be loose if you was going for a load. You're going to look down up under it, check your frame to make sure that there's no cracks or breaks in your frame. Any of the bolts running through it, make sure that they've all got the nuts on there and they look tight. Coming back, we're going to check the turn signal again. You always want to make sure you're checking all of your lights on the sides, anywhere that they might be. You're going to come back, you're going to look up under, you're going to check your drive shaft. Make sure that the drive shaft is on there straight. There's no debris wrapped around it, so anything that could cause a problem as far as it maybe tangled up to where it's not wanting to run. You come back to the back. Most of the trucks you can get to them. You want to come back here. You want to check your springs again to make sure that there's no crack, broke, missing. You want to check your spring hangers. Make sure that they're on there, they're tight, they're secured. We're going to check the shocks to make sure that the shock absorbers up and lower mounts are on there, they're tight and secured. Make sure that the shock is not cracked or broke or leaking any fluid out of it. Some trucks will also require equipped with airbags. If it is, this one is, you want to check your upper and lower mounts to make sure that they're on there secured. Check that bag to make sure that it's not leaking air from anywhere. You're going to go back up under here again, look at your brakes, look at your hoses to make sure that you're not leaking any, they're on there secured, you're not leaking any air from anywhere. You want to come down and check the chambers. Check your chambers to make sure that they're on there, they're secured, they're not leaking air from anywhere. Back behind the chamber is your slack adjuster and a push rod. Check the slack adjuster, make sure that it's on there and secured. That push rod there again, if you set the truck in gear so it can't roll on you and release the brake, pull that rod, make sure that it doesn't travel no more than an inch. If you guys go through the scale and they do a DOT inspection on you and that rod pushes out more than an inch, they're going to set you there. You're going to have to bring somebody in to readjust some brakes, and then there's a ticket involved too. Back into the tires. Now you're back here with the duals. Make sure that there's no debris inside of the duals that can cause a blowout. Check both sides, both tires. Make sure there's no cuts, bruises, bubbles, anything on there that can also cause a blowout. There can't be any less than 30 seconds of tread on the drives. 100 pounds of air in the tires. Check your rims, both of your rims. Make sure there's no cracks, there's no breaks, there's no welds on the rims. Check your lugs. Make sure that the lugs are on there, they're tight. You have axle seals on the back end. You want to check the plate, and even if you have to pull that cap, check that plate, make sure that that seal that's in between the plate and the axle, that it's not leaking. If it is, there's going to be oil down inside of that rim. Check your mud flaps to make sure that they're on there, they're secured. Check your brace and your bracket to make sure it's also on there and secured. If you're driving, picking up a tractor, bobtail, chassis, anything, make sure even if they're the makeshift mud flaps that they're on that truck, you guys cannot run without them. It's a ticket if you get caught. You want to check your markers, lights. This truck here, this one happens to have a lift gate on the back end of it, so while you're on the side, make sure you check your safety latch to make sure that it's locked and secure so it can't come open on you. Okay, now we're back at the back of the truck. Look up on top, check your clearance lights up there to make sure that they're working. We check your DOT reflective tape to make sure it's on there and it's also visible. That is also a violation if it's not there. Check the door. This is a rolling door, so just make sure that it looks like that all the panels are connected and there's nothing loose or missing out of it. If you can see it, you also want to check the door latch to make sure that it's also latched into place. With this having the lift gate again, just make sure that it's up there, everything looks like it's snug, it's fit, nothing's loose on the back of that gate. You can come down and look at your lights, make sure that your lights are flashing and that they're on. Check your DOT bumper to make sure it's on there, secured, it's not loose from anywhere. Again, check the DOT tape to make sure that it's also on there and visible. Okay, so now we're going from the right side of the truck to the back to the front. Here again, we're at the gate, checking the other safety latch to make sure that it's secured and it's not loose. A lot of repetitive stuff from the left side to the right side. Coming back down to the side of the truck again to make sure that your lights are working. Check your mud flap again. Make sure that it's on there secured, it's not loose or dragging from anywhere. Coming into the tires, I can see the shock from right here, so you can start with the suspension first. Okay, and make sure that it's secured, there's no leaks in the shock, it's not cracked, broken, or loose or leaking fluid from anywhere. Going to go ahead and hit the tires while we're here. Check both sides walls, both sides. Make sure that there's no cuts, there's no bruises, there's no debris in between the tandems to cause blowout. Check to make sure that the treads there again it's got even wear on it. No less than 2 seconds to tread up on the tandems. Come down, check your rims. Make sure that the rims aren't cracked, are not broke or dented, and there's no welds on them. You cannot weld a rim. Check the lug nuts to make sure that they're on there tight to keep both rims on the wheel or on the axle. Check your axle seal. The axle seal. Take this hub off. The axle seal is right behind the plate right here. The best way to check it is if it's leaking from anywhere, you're going to see some oil laying down inside of that rim. Okay, walking down the side of the truck again, make sure that there's no damage at all on the side of the truck. Check your lights again to make sure that they're working. DOT tape, very important that the DOT tape is on the side of the truck and it's clean and visible. We're going to come down, check the exhaust, make sure that the exhaust is hanging properly, it's not loose, dragging the ground from anywhere. There again, you want to look at your drive line also from this side just to make sure that you don't see anything hanging from it. Come down to your fuel line or fuel tank. You're going to check your fuel tank to make sure that the caps on there tight. When you take it off to check your fuel, make sure that rubber seal's in there so whenever you screw the cap back on, you're not leaking fuel from anywhere. Check your bands to make sure that they're on there tight. Rubber seal's up under there so it doesn't cause any friction on the tank while you're going down the road. Check the tank itself to make sure that you're not leaking from anywhere. Check your steps again for if you're going to get into the right side of the truck. Make sure that they're secure. They're not going to come off when you get in there. You'll mess around with that. Nee, normaal is het een maar als nog eens donker. Nee, no, als nog eens donker. Als de lijn in die remember, around most of the skin. Okay, guys, the last few things on this side of the truck that we didn't get on the other side. Some more of your hoses coming to and from your radiator. Your alternator's over here. You check your alternator to make sure that it's secure. Check the wiring to make sure that there's no bare wires or anything that could cause fire when you're running. Check your belts. Make sure they're not frayed, they're not cracked. There should be no more than 3 inches of play inside that belt. Check your fan blade. Make sure that your fan blade's got all the blades on it and there's nothing loose on it, nothing broken. Coming down, checking the rest of your hoses. Some of these trucks still have the heat shut off and on the side of them. So if it's summertime, you need to get air in there. You need to come back out here, follow these hoses. Make sure you know that you find the turn-offs so you get some air conditioner in there. Same thing if it's wintertime, you want to get down in here, find the nozzles and turn them back on so you get heat inside of the truck. Suspension, brake area, tire, it's all the same as on the other side. Just make sure that you guys check everything, and let's be safe out there.